You, get up. Yeah, you.
All right, lawyer.
Good evening, Crime Talk aficionados. Yes, lawyer. That's what you do if you get in trouble, even if you're not in trouble, especially if you're not in trouble. Lawyer. Well, you've come to the right place. You're going to talk to a practicing criminal defense attorney that's been doing this for nearly 30 years. I cannot believe that I am 6 months away from doing this for 30 years, and yet I still have these ruggedly handsome good looks after all these years. Who would have thought? Anyway, my name is Scott Reich. Thanks for joining us. This is Crime Talk. It's Tuesday night. That means it's our Tuesday night live program. Want to thank everyone for being here. We know you could be doing other things. The fact that you take the time to be with us, well, it does not go unnoticed, and it certainly is appreciated. We are streaming tonight on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Roku. So you can find us just about everywhere. This is like the Crime Talk network almost. It's almost like we're a network. My goodness. Imagine what we could do. All right. Little quick recap. Obviously, we did a live last week. I had a busy couple of weeks. I got to a wedding. Then we went to CrimeCon. We left Friday morning. We're there till Sunday, about midday. Had to fly out. I went to a case that I had tend to in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then flew back last night. And then obviously had a court appearance first thing here in the morning. And then what'd you have to do? Yep, that's right. What do? You fly, you're relaxed, you're thinking this is so calm and peaceful. My phone has been off. And then you land and you just get bombarded by district attorneys. What are we doing? What are we doing on Friday? Well, fine, let me hold on. So then you have to schedule a meeting with an interpreter to go to the jail that you weren't planning on doing just yet because you just figured you were going to go do what you had to do. But anyway, that's the way it is. What I love about the job as a criminal defense attorney, you never know what's going to happen that day. What I hate about it is you never know what's going to happen that day. There is always something new going on. And hopefully that's why you come here to find out what new is going on and have it hopefully explained to you that you understand it. I try to break it down into simple terms because I've had to do that for the last 30 years, explaining things to clients. Because the area of law, although sometimes we make it more difficult than it needs to be, is usually quite simple. But a couple things I want to talk about. First tonight, a little bit about the Chad Daybell, the death sentence. We haven't had a live since that went down. It went down last Saturday, kind of mid-morning. And the jury had deliberated kind of late into the night. When I say late into the night, I think Friday night, it was like 8 p.m. and they let the jury go. And then they came back the following morning and basically said, we have a verdict. And they came back death for Chad Daybell. He sat there somewhat emotionless. What can you do? You've just been sentenced to death. I mean, you could sit there and break down and cry. You can make a run for it, for the door. He just sat there. He's never really heard a word. I mean, all we ever heard from him was, his conversations that he had on the phone with Lori Vallow saying they're getting warmer. They're getting warmer when they were coming to find the bodies of JJ and Tylee there on his property. So anyway, we can talk about that. And also want to talk about the Karen Reed trial. Now, maybe somebody in the comments can let me know. And I'm looking here at the comments. All right. I'm gonna focus on comments. All right. We got we got all kinds of comments here. It is a law practice. Enough said. Patricia, not law mastery. See, but sometimes I lose track of it and I realize you're not asking me questions. You're all having a conversation in the comments with yourself, which is great. I just got to know. So anyway, we don't ask or beg for super chats, but I do tell you if you really want your question asked, I mean, I'm going to be looking, I'm going to be focusing on chats this evening. But if you really wanted a super chat, whatever amounts they come in, I'm not really sure. It still gets highlighted. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. But if you really would like a question answered, I will see it when it's on super chats because it shows up in a big different color. I think green on the screen. So I really want to talk about this Karen Reed trial, and maybe somebody in the super chats or in the chats can let me know. Doesn't have to be a super chat. Why in the heck is it taking so long to get this trial done? I mean, what are we, like day 19 or something, with breaks, like week breaks, multiple day breaks in between? I've never seen anything like this. I don't know. Somebody explain, is this a Massachusetts thing? Is this a something that they do just on the East Coast? Because I've never seen it. Literally, when you show up for a trial, they say, how long? Everybody agrees. How long do you think it's going to take? Oh, it's going to take 5 days, 7 days. Okay. They block you out. Court always knows it's going to take a couple more days usually, but you try to budget. You try to plan. Be realistic in your expectations. And let's say you say, well, judge, is going to be 7 days or 5 days. That doesn't include jury deliberations, which can take as little as long as the jurors would like to do. But I've never seen, oh, we're going to take a break. I did a month trial in March. One unexpected day off because there was a snow day. Wimpy. The court administrator is totally wimpy. Closed the court. There was like this much snow. They look like fools, and it set us back a day. But the judge is like, no problem. We'll just go through our breaks. We'll stay late. I mean, we were there. The attorneys were there till 9 o'clock, and not as late some other nights, working on instructions so that why we didn't hold up the jury. So I don't know. Maybe somebody knows. Maybe somebody from Massachusetts can let me know. Is this a Massachusetts thing? I don't get it. I don't understand why it takes so long. This trial would take 5 days in any jurisdiction where I had practiced. All right. And when it comes to the Karen Reed case, what the heck happened at 34 Fairview Road? That's what I really want to know. I want to know your thoughts. What happened that night? Did Karen Reed kill her boyfriend, or was it the cops inside? And Jennifer McCabe, that's another one I really want to talk about. The witness, right? That says, oh, Karen Reed said, did I kill him? Did I run over him? Oh my gosh. Just happened to be Googling how long does it take to die in the cold at like 2:27 in the morning, like almost 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours before they find Mr. O'Keefe, dead boyfriend, hit/struck, died of hypothermia out there in the frozen cold tundra. And then she just happens to Google it one more time and has that as every excuse. We got that video pulled up. So yeah. I want to talk about that testimony. Do you believe her? Do you think she had a motive to fabricate? Do you think she maybe should have yelled, Your Honor, can I talk to everybody outside the presence of the jury? I think I would like to assert my Fifth Amendment rights. Of course, she denies anything wrong. Okay. And then I want to know about this hypothetical. All right. Yeah, Jen, right? Somebody said Jody's like Jen. I thought I pronounced it correct. And then I want to ask you this hypothetical, because it's not really a hypothetical. What if you were on a federal jury and you're at home one night and somebody rings the doorbell and somebody comes up to the door and says, if you vote for the defendants to be not guilty, there'll be more where this present came from. And then that person leaves, you look in the bag, and there's $120,000 in cash. Do you take the money, stuff it under your mattress, or do you notify the court immediately, or even the police? Think about it. It's a real situation that just happened. Interesting indeed. So, all right, let's take a look. See what we have here on the chat. One of the Daybell jurors said that Pryor was pissing them off. Bobby says that. Let's take a look here. One of the Daybell jurors said that Pryor was pissing them off. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what the context was, Bobby, but I would think. I mean, I get it. I've been a defense attorney, right? I've heard stories where people have said, "Oh, I'm sure Mr. Reich will have something to say about that." So yeah, it's it is what it is, so to speak. As a defense attorney, sometimes your job is, yes, you want to be nice, you want to be polite to the jury, you don't want to upset them, but you also have to try your case. And Pryor, I've said this before, he did a pretty good job. He really did. Flying solo like that, the way he did for 6 weeks on a death penalty case, he did okay. He did okay. You may not like him. You may say, oh, he's got a history, whatever. He did okay in my book. He really did. He was working with what he had to work with. It is a disturbing case, right? You have 2 young children, one teenager, one preteen that's dead. And then you find out that the guy's wife, is murdered because you think he's got a new girlfriend. Those are kind of troubling cases. I mean, those are some bad facts, right? And so, yes, that is not good. He did what he had to do as his defense attorney for Chad Daybell. Yeah, some of the jurors did interviews. I think I saw that. I didn't see the interviews, but I saw they were doing it. I just haven't had time to get to it yet. But thanks, Moments in Trading. Let's see here. Showgirls Around the World, the Dancer Family. Hi, Scott. Good evening. How are you? Yeah, the interview Nate did, what the 6 of the jurors was interesting. Yeah. I may take a look at that. I don't know. Sometimes it's interesting what jurors think. I mean, at the end of the day, they found your client guilty. So what can you do? I mean, I've been there, bad cases, right? I got one coming up where I got the news calling saying, we want to have expanded media coverage to have, video, because my client's supposed to get launched coming up soon here in the next couple of days. We'll see. We think we filed some stuff that he shouldn't get launched. He's going to get, maybe high orbit, but not to the moon, so to speak. But, it's one of those cases where the judge denied a lot of our motions and let us not put in a lot of information. So what can you do? AJ, hey, Scott, why didn't anyone get to speak on Chad's behalf? That was totally the call of the defense counsel, Mr. Pryor, and Chad Daybell. Here's what my guess is, and it's a guess, speculation. And I know I don't like to guess and speculate, but this is what I think probably took place. Basically, Pryor and Daybell put on their case early, obviously in the defense case in chief, which was pretty. Listen, you may not like the way the family testified, but I'm telling you, that is what you see oftentimes. If that was your family member, regardless of how bad the facts may be, you may not want to look at those facts. You may want to go through the world with blinders on, because guess what? That's your father, your only living parent, right? And if he goes to prison, basically you're an orphan. I don't know why they did it. They were asked to testify as to what took place. As you remember, the daughter said I was at the gym, and it was weird because this detective was coming up and like asking me questions, and I said, don't do it. I don't want to talk with you, etc. They basically got in the defense case in chief what they would have brought in as it relates to kind of good character evidence for Chad Daybell. Oh, he was a loving father. Oh, he was a good dad. Good husband until he killed his wife, right? And so they got that information in. If you put them up, the family members up again, and say, Chad's a great guy, he's a really good guy. Sure, he's been found guilty, of killing 2 children and his wife on a conspiracy basis. So it's not like he did it himself, right? So he's got some redeeming quality, right? But the reality of it is that then the defense witness will be asked questions by the prosecutor, and the prosecutor will ask questions and say, well, let's test your basis here of knowledge as it relates to your dad. You said he's a good guy. Well, he's been found guilty of killing 3 people. Is he still a good guy? No. Now, mitigation is a weird thing in a death penalty case. Full disclosure, only had 1 case in my career that they were going to go death. We ultimately convinced them not to do that. And in that particular case, it was a video that we made. It was cutting edge. Couldn't believe it. This is like 10 years ago. And I had a videographer. We hired a videographer. We went and did all these interviews, and we put together this little spiel about he's a great guy. He never had a chance growing up because my client's brother was some big corporate muckety muck, and then said basically, I don't know what happened, but my brother just never had a chance because when he was 2 and 3, my mom was taking him out partying. When I was 2 and 3, I was getting read the Bible because mom had found the light. And the DA called me day after Christmas and said, hey, not going to go death on your client. That video, no one would convict based upon that. So mitigation can be anything. Maybe they just thought there wasn't anything there. Who knows? Chad Daybell may have said, don't do anything. I'm ordering you not to put up any witnesses. Don't make any argument on my behalf. It's in God's hands. How many times have I heard that? It's in God's hands. Whatever happens happens. And I have to say, well, I appreciate that. But guess what? Whenever I've had God as a co-counsel, he usually doesn't come through that often. So really, it does kind of lie on me here. So we'll leave it at that. Okay. So I don't know why they didn't have anybody up, but that may have been Chad's choice. He may have said, hey, Mr. Pryor, don't do anything. True Crime Detection. Good evening. How you doing? Mama Pink, our mod as well. Settle down, please. Let's stay on topic. Okay. Hello, LA from Lula has joined us. Is that Poe keeping is blue? Bring on the challenge. I'll be happy to show you the engineering. Okay, I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Maybe thumbs up CrimeTalk. Appreciate that as well. LA or La. How are you, dear Lula? Welcome back. Let's see here. So you guys are having conversations amongst yourselves. All right. So, all right. Is muckety muck in the Black Laws Dictionary? You may not be able to find it in the Black's Law Dictionary, but it is a term of art that they teach you in law school, and muckety muck is it's in there for sure. I'm sure it is. All right. All right. PA, Pennsylvania. I'm assuming that's Pennsylvania prisoners. I'm so excited. Driving to work and never caught you on one of your lives before. Okay. Let's see here. True Crime Detection. Got a question. Mr. Reich, do you believe defense attorneys are a tad biased when it comes to the evidence? True crime deduction, I would actually say no. And let me tell you why. Everybody thinks that their defense attorney is going to be the true champion. Whatever the evidence is, you can always spin it and find a bright spot. I find myself as a defense attorney constantly trying to explain to the client that this may not be exactly what you might think it will be. And then the big picture, it really doesn't mean anything. Now, that's what we have to do on our daily basis, talking to our client, counseling our client. Should we take a deal? Should we go to trial? Should we make a better counter offer? Those type of situations. Now, when you get to trial, hey, you know what? Those are your facts. They're your facts. You've got your good facts. You've written them out. You know what your good facts are. You got your bad facts and you got your bad facts. And like, all right, how do I move those bad facts from my bad facts column to my good facts column and do that? Now, sometimes you think, well, it's kind of a stretch. Can I do this with a straight face in front of the jury? Well, yes, you can. But, does the defense, think they're too biased when it comes to the evidence? Like, in their favor, if I'm understanding the true crime deductions question, I believe that defense attorneys, by the time you get to trial, those are your facts. You're going to harp. If that's our good fact, we're going to keep beating that like a dead horse. If it's not a good fact, you're going to try to ignore it and move along. Because why? The prosecution is going to keep bringing up their good fact. So if you've got a good fact, then you got to do it and just keep beating it. But defense attorney's got to be realistic as possible. You can't ignore bad facts as a defense attorney. You just can't do it. You'll get crushed in trial. You get a worse sentence for your client. So this is a case here. Sinbad. Rich, it says Allen, I'm assuming referring to Rich Allen, has made nearly 50 confessions to more than 30 individuals. A good defense attorney would be proposing a deal. I mean, listen, we've been following the Delphi case, and really what it comes down to is I think the defense attorneys have burned so many bridges when it comes to the prosecutor that they're not looking for anything other than, plead guilty, both counts, go to, life in prison times 2, right? You only need 1, but let's go twice. So they've come at them hard. And sometimes, that's what you need to do. You don't like to start off that way. I used to always have this attorney that I really, really liked. He was a private attorney. He would come in and it was funny because I got to be the good guy. I was the military counsel, right? Civilian guy marches in, starts poking fingers in people's eyes and, upsets everybody. We're not pleading guilty. You're not going to get a plea to anything, blah, blah, blah. And then I just got to, he comes in here, but listen, I'm still a reasonable guy. What can I do? But if everybody's being unreasonable and everybody's gone to war, sometimes, you're just going to go to trial. So yeah, it is, I don't know, 30 confessions, right? And whether those people are jailhouse snitches, that all comes down to cross-examination. But if he's saying the same stuff over and over and over again, you've got your work cut out for you. There's no government action if the defendant says something to somebody else, right? The defense was trying to make Richard Allen make it sound like these people that were watching Richard Allen when he was on a suicide watch, like somehow they were deputized and therefore there was government action. I mean, that'd be no different than if it was a jailhouse, trustee that they trusted to, sit there, or whether it was a police officer. If he is making spontaneous admissions, statements that can be construed, you're stuck with that. And that's why any defense attorney worth their salt will always tell you to shut your freaking mouth if you're in trouble and don't talk about your case in custody. But guess what? Nobody ever does it. Nobody ever does it. Let's see here. Why did you become a defense attorney? Okay, true crime deduction. I'm only last question, but that's good. So how'd you become a defense attorney? Well, when I got done with law school, I went back onto active duty in the United States Marine Corps, and I got stationed down in Parris Island, South Carolina. And when I first got there, I thought, I'm going to be a prosecutor. This is going to be great. And first thing I got there was the general said, we are short on officers and you need to go over to the drill field. So go report to the drill instructor school where you will be a series commander. Okay, good to go. Didn't get to do that. While I was there, there was another defense attorney, and she's been a military judge, and she's now pretty big muckety muck in the Marine Corps, another, fancy legal term of art. And we did a case together. And she had never done a case. I had never done a case, but I had a little more time because I was out on the drill field. I had a lot of downtime, and it was fun. And then I got an opportunity to be a prosecutor. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't that much fun. And maybe it was because we were at a recruiting demand. I get it if you were dealing with like, people that were victims and, serious stuff had taken place. But we had, we were the recruiting command. We handled all the recruiters who got popped for dipping in the pool. And if anybody knows what that is, maybe we'll give you a prize, dipping in the pool for a recruiter in the military. Anyway, so these people were mostly water walkers in the Marine Corps. They were squared away people, and they screwed up, and they got court-martialed. And you just didn't feel good, like, oh man, this guy screwed up and we're ruining his career. Like, couldn't we just like take a stripe or something? But no, the command wanted to do it, and it just didn't feel right a lot of the time. Anyway, then I got to be a defense attorney, and then I got out of the Marine Corps, and I applied to be prosecutor at places, and couldn't get a job interview. It was tight. The economy was tight. This is back in 2000. Because I got off of active duty in December of 99, and literally told the wife and kids at the time, hey, give me 6 months. And if I can't, maybe it was 3 months, give me a couple of months. If I can't make this work on my own, I'll go get a job. I'll go work for somebody else. And here we are. January will be the start of my 25th year of having my own practice. But frankly, at the end of the day, it really comes down to protecting the Constitution. All right. There's always going to be crime. There's always going to be bad people committing crime. But if we, defense attorneys, the ones down there on the line, down in the trenches every day, if we allow them to railroad the guilty people, they will do it to the innocent ones as well. And people, oh, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen, would it? Yes, it would. And you really have to fight for everybody. And so every day when you're down there fighting and saying, hey, government, you can't do that. That was an illegal search. You can't do it. Judge, tell them they can't do it. And usually the judge says, no, you can't do it. And then 3 years later, the Court of Appeal says, hey, judge, you should have listened to Scott Reich and not done that. And now we got to do it all over again. If you just listened to Scott, we wouldn't have these issues. But that's the way it goes. All right. So that's what I do. And now, it's fun. Now, is there good days and bad days? Yes, there are. Can it be exhausting? Yes. If you have a stretch with some exhausting clients, it can be exhausting. But if you got a good stretch with good clients, man, it can be so much fun, so rewarding, helping people out. Most people are good people that have made a mistake, got themselves in a circumstance. Most people are not true evil. Now, don't get me wrong. I've represented true evil. And you can go through the process and, 99.9% of the time, what you think is going to happen will probably happen when it comes to true evil. But you got to go through that process, just like Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow. It took almost 4.5, almost 5 years, I think, from the time those kids went missing for that to be resolved. And it's not even close to being done unless Chad Daybell says don't appeal, which I don't think he will. No one in the last 40 years in Idaho has ever been sentenced to death. So there you go. We'll see how that works out. All right. Showgirls around the world and dance family. Please remember a lawyer is paid to do a job. Don't put them down for taking a case. Does it make a difference if guilty or not? Hey, wrongfully accused or guilty as sin, I will represent you. Okay? Bottom line, wrongfully accused or guilty as sin, I will represent you. And frankly, as a young attorney, and maybe not so much now, but as a young attorney, I would see the most horrific case on TV, or I would hear the most horrific case in the courthouse. And I'm like, really? Do they need a young attorney getting his practice going? I'll take it. And then you start busting your butt and you start doing, good work, and the judges see it and they start saying, hey, appoint that kid another case. And next thing you know, you're not taking those cases. or they're a small percentage of your practice. And so, yeah, wrongfully accused or guilty of sin. Either way, you need Scott Reich. Okay. You need an experienced criminal defense attorney. And yes, everyone's entitled to an attorney, right? Everyone is entitled to an attorney. It's a constitutional right. Jody wants to know, how many appeals do you get on death row? Well, Jody, let's go through the process. First, there's a medium level of appellate courts in Idaho, Court of Appeals. Then it'll go to the Supreme Court. Undoubtedly, it will go to the Idaho Supreme Court. If all those appeals are upheld and they say, although there was error, it was harmless, judgment affirmed, that's fine. Then the matter goes back. Then it goes basically to the governor. Say, all right, all your appeals are gone. Now you have and can begin your post-conviction relief. Okay. Now let's get a couple of things straight. This record of this case took 4+ years. All the transcripts from the trial, 5 weeks. It's going to take time. They got the court reporters, hardest working people in the courtroom. I swear to God. They're taking out everything. They have to, and now, before they had to listen to it, but now they record it. They're listening to it, and some of them are so good, it's amazing. But then they have to proof it, not once, but twice, like 3 times. So they get to hear that trial 4 times while they're reading it. So whether they're hearing it or reading it. And that takes time. Then the new appellate counsel is going to take, they're going to need a couple of years to get up to speed, to review everything and, kind of do their own investigations. It's limited to the appeal. And so that's going to take some time. Then you're going to go up to the Supreme Court. Maybe you get a new attorney. Maybe you don't. Somebody leaves the practice of law. They can't do it. Takes more time. Probably talking at least on something like this, another 6 to 8 years till it gets done at the appellate level. All right. But then when you get done, you go back and you do your post-conviction relief and you say, my attorney, although I loved him, he was great. He was practically working for free. He should have done all these other things. He should have called a witness. He should have presented more mitigation at the death penalty phase. And I'm, as the appellate counsel or post-conviction counsel, is going to bring in an expert to say, I've done death penalty cases and I would have done more at the death penalty phase. And so then the question becomes, okay, let's have a hearing on that. Well, that's going to take years to do. And the judge will probably deny it, saying, it wouldn't have made any difference. And no post-conviction relief, which of course starts the appellate process. Now, remember, when the post-conviction, you have to exhaust all of those issues. And it's really interesting. I'll explain why. Because after that, you get your post-conviction denied at the district court. Then it goes to the Court of Appeals. Then it'll probably get to the Supreme Court because in the state of Idaho, because it's a death penalty case. And the Idaho Supreme Court will probably say, yep, you're right. Reverse, do whatever, or no reversal, issue the mandate to kill Chad Daybell. Well, then once all those remedies are exhausted, then he goes and does his federal habeas process. And there's specific deadlines. And you have to raise issues that were previously raised. Habeas corpus stuff, not my bailiwick at all. Another fancy legal term there. I kind of shadowed along with a guy years ago that did it. He was a post-conviction guy, really, really smart guy. Did the habeas stuff. And you get up there and like, okay, this claim is barred. It wasn't brought within enough time because that really strict time limits. And if you didn't raise the issue below, you can't raise it for the first time. And then did you exhaust all of your administrative remedies? I know this is getting really into the weeds, but that's the way it happens. So by the time all the appellate stuff gets done, it ought to be about 30 years. Because remember, you got to have the new people come in at every stage. Oh, you got to have the federal habeas people come in. investigation. It starts all over again. It is just getting started, unless, of course, you do a Timothy McVeigh, who was obviously convicted of killing, was it 200, 300 people at the Oklahoma City bombing? That was back in the early 90s, I think, mid 90s. And when he got done, I mean, they literally found a box of documents. The government found a box of documents that had not been turned over. And an attorney in town, got by the name of Nathan Chambers, really good guy, really smart guy. He's like, I got a box. I got a box that was never turned over. This could be the golden ticket. We could save your life. The judge said, nah, didn't matter. It was Judge Mage. And McVeigh said, bring it on. Let's go do this thing. So, yeah. There you go. So hopefully that was it. All right. Mark Trom, does a dead horse say nay? Do you think that Chad gave Pryor most... sorry, it jumped here. Sorry, I lost the question. Sorry, it jumped. Okay. Oh, is there a super chat up there, Frank? Yeah. True crime deduction. I guess that's in pounds, right? Is that what that is? 11 pounds?
Yes. Euros.
Euros. That's right. Mr. Reich misspelled it. Reisch. Would you agree that in custodial conversations, when arrest is being made, that it is more likely than not that the defendant said something incriminating? Each case differs, but I'm telling you, true crime deduction, when people are in custody, everybody thinks that they are amongst friends. They're all dealing with the same circumstances. What's going on with your case? Well, let me tell you about mine. Oh, my attorney's great. You should talk to my attorney. Oh, my attorney's the best. Oh, my attorney sucks. Whatever. They're sitting in there. And regardless, from day one, when the attorney says, don't talk about the facts of the case, your calls are being recorded, don't discuss your case with anyone. I mean, literally, you might as well just take it and do this in front of your attorney's face, because that's what they do. That's just what they do. Like, nobody listens. And I don't care how a sophisticated client will do that very rarely, but for the most part, they all go talk, and they go talk to people in custody with them. So yes, I think the likelihood that they say something potentially incriminating certainly does go up. Let me give you an example. Wasn't my case, swear to God, real case. Guy's charged with murder. Public defenders represent this guy. And I remember in court, they were doing some pre-docket or something. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? This is like early in the trial. Yeah, I got a murder. Man, we're in it. It's the game. We're in the game. Oh, that's great. I come back later in the week. Hey, how's that trial going? And they're like, oh, you're not going to believe what happened. I'm like, well, now you got to tell me, because I got to see if I'm really going to believe what happened. And they say that apparently the client wanted to stick around a little late, because that's what we do here in Colorado. We work late. We're not this East Coast bankers hours kind of stuff. We stay late to get those jury instructions done. Anyway, in this particular case, once again, not my client. True story, though. The guy, the defendant, goes back to this jail cell because he's charged with murder. And he is bitching and complaining that he didn't get his dinner. He wants his dinner and he wants his shower. So they said, well, your pod's already locked down. If you're really going to be a jerk about it, guess what? We're going to put you over in this other pod. So the guy gets his meal. He gets his shower. And somebody comes up and starts talking to him. And he said, man, this thing's going really great. They're not going to prove it. We think we're going to win. Let me tell you what happened. Swear to God. Not making this up. Not my case, though. By 9 a.m. the following morning, that client had contacted his attorney, who had then contacted the district attorney on the case and said, hey, have I got some information for you? That defendant you're on trial with, he confessed to my client last night in the jail. Prosecution says, Judge, we want to endorse him as a witness, and is a really good judge. And the judge said, let me think about that. Defense, what's your position? The defense apparently got up and jumped up and down. This late endorsement. Oh my God, investigation. Oh. So the judge said, well, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to delay this trial too long, but I will give you 1 day to speak with this witness, and prosecution, if you want to call him, he needs to make himself available to the defense to interview him. They do what they need to do. Guy comes and testifies, and guess what? He is convicted. Why? Because he didn't keep his mouth shut. People just can't not do it. They can't. So when they go into custody, are there jailhouse snitches that make stuff up? Yes. But, I've seen it. People sit around, like, oh, so-and-so was talking to me about the case. Well, how do you know? Well, we're in the same pod together. Why is he talking about your case with me? Oh, wow. We talk, we do what we need to do. Anyway, that happens. Before your questions, so this guy can please line. Let's see here. Let's see here. Why was Chad? Hopefully that answers your question. Questions. Why was Chad not in a magical prison outfit after he was found guilty, and especially when he got his sentence read out instead of his missionary outfit? He was still in trial. Still in trial, Let's just go to immediate sentencing. Boom. He's never appeared in a jailhouse garb at all. Through all those proceedings, he's always been able to be dressed out. And so, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Rombo. Anyway, sorry. I'll look for your questions. All right. Maybe I got that one, but let's see here. Let's see here. Another super chat. Okay. Wow. Is it likely that the Delphi attorneys are going to be removed? I can't imagine this case going forward in any ethical or in any way that's professional ethical. I think it'll go forward. They wanted to be on the case. They got removed because the judge thought that the attorneys for the Delphi guy were completely, incompetent for allowing evidence to be basically taken from their office or photographed and then sent out and became public knowledge and things of that nature. The judge doesn't she said they're incompetent. She found them to be a bunch of bumbling boobs. Okay. Another legal term of art there. And basically once, the shell shock wore off, they're like, hey, we're going to fight this. They've bonded with Richard Allen. They'd come up with their theories. They go up to Supreme Court to remain on the case. And it has just been an all-out war. Okay? I've said this before. I've never seen a judge call anybody incompetent. On the record. Calling them out saying, these guys suck. They shouldn't be attorneys, all that kind of good stuff. She didn't find him in contempt. So that was good. She's kind of, trying to split the baby, so to speak. But there's some things that I thought that the defense would be entitled to a hearing on, particularly the Franks hearing. The Franks hearing, as you may not recall, that was the motion that was filed by the Delphi attorneys, basically saying there's no possible way for these murders to have taken place. That's their case right there. That is their cross-examination to all their witnesses. There's no way that this could have been done by one person. Okay, but it doesn't really matter if it's only one person. If he was part of the conspiracy to kill these people, it doesn't really matter, right? But at a certain point, you just have to go forward. There's certain judges you don't like, right? Everybody is always, this judge did this, just judge did that. You know, they belong to this. They donated a few dollars here and there. Or are they actively doing it? Like, you know, this election cycle, probably bad taste. But, you know, are we talking hundreds of thousands of dollars? Or are we talking $20? Was it a long time ago before they got on the bench that they, were involved or said something? There is a presumption that a judge will recuse themselves. Now, federal judges have a much greater responsibility if they or their immediate family, including their kids, have some sort of financial interest in a case, then they need to get off the case. States can set their own rules. But in this particular case, just because you don't like the judge and because she rules against you, that's not a reason to get a recusal motion filed by the defense in this particular case. I disagree. I don't think they're going to get a recusal on that. Yes, the judges said, belittled them, said they're terrible attorneys, fired them basically. Quit or you'll be fired and belittled on the record. I mean, it's a little unprofessional, something you don't ever see every day in a courtroom, but it's not enough for a recusal motion. So the defense, I would say, quit wasting your time on recusal motions and start preparing for your defense. I know you got a little more time now, but filing motions just to file motions is not going to gain you any help, and it's certainly not going to curry any favor with the judge. And if you think, well, maybe if I just keep threatening the judge, she's going to keep, she'll rule in my favor eventually. No, she's not. Nope. She's going to find a way to make sure that nothing good happens for you or your client. Okay. Hell, I've had cases where I swear to God, the judge has denied every motion I ever filed, overruled every objection I ever made in court, and still won the case. But yeah, don't get me wrong. It gets a little discouraging along the way. I'm not going to lie. And you think, why is this judge? He just hates me. Oh my God, he hates me. It's a true deal, man. It's true. I mean, it's just welcome to criminal defense work. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Guess what? If you want easy, you go become a prosecutor. Put that one in a short, Frank. Seriously, prosecutor. Detectives bring you the case file. If they're good detectives, it's all worked up, ready to go. Worst case scenario, you start off chronologically. What happened? And then what'd you do, detective? Tell me more. Oh my gosh. And then who'd you talk to? And then what happened? Judge, I would like to do this. Oh, of course you can. You're the prosecution. And since the prosecution's asking, the judge is going to give it to you. That's welcome. Like I said, you have to be a hardy individual. You have to have thick skin. You must be thinking, this Constitution thing is pretty freaking important. If I have to keep putting up with this, I could go make more money and not get beat up in court every day. So think about it. Obviously, it's true. At least this lovable defense attorney, I don't know. I mean, I just say it's a tough job. It takes a different, and I mean it in a good way, kind of person to do it for a long time. I just think, I could never do this so long. Now, I mean, like I said, there's great days and there's other days I love it. There's other days, man, I just want to be a YouTuber. That's what I want to do. I just want to be a YouTuber. That would be great. And who knows, maybe, if I get a break where I have nothing to do, I'll just sit here and, I'll have cases all day long. We just sit and talk about them, comment on them. That would be great. I know people that I was at CrimeCon. People talked about it. And, some of them do very well. Some of them don't do so great. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. LA or Law wants to know. Ethics. See, I miss it. Sometimes the chat moves so fast. Ethics? We have to have ethics as a defense attorney. I don't know if that's something else that you're talking about, but you have to have ethics as a defense attorney. I assure you. I have never met a client that I thought they were worth going to jail for or prison. And I've never been paid enough money to jeopardize my law license. And after, like I said, 29 and a half years, I think that, that's pretty good. Where you've had people that have wanted, asked you to do things that you knew, I can't do that. It's not ethical. You're a nice guy and all, but I'm not going to lose my license for you. I'm not going to get into what people have asked, but I've had to withdraw from cases. Because I wasn't going to do it. What they were asking me to do. Wasn't going to do it. And oftentimes people forget. Some defendants think that they run everything. No. Defendants make three major decisions. Who you're going to hire as your private attorney if you can afford to do so, whether you're going to accept a plea bargain or go to trial, and whether you testify at trial or not. And yes, they're going to be consulted. They're going to be advised of what's taking place. They're not going to be kept in the dark at all. But at the end of the day, the attorney is going to make those decisions as to strategy, questions, witnesses to call, things of that nature. So, Miss Dean Frame, what's a channel member? What's the best way to describe that, Frank? You can become a member, I guess, and you get a couple of cool perks, right?
Yes. And you get Station Schwartz and nice icon.
Okay. Mama Pink wants to know, Scott, have you ever been held in contempt in those 29 years? No, but I've come close a couple of times. I can tell you once I was hired on a military case. I was in private practice, and I got hired to represent some people. Their kid got in trouble. It doesn't matter what he did, but somebody else, let's just say, had something to do with the computer, and maybe some images of some people that maybe were underage. Anyway, the guy that borrowed the computer was like, scrolling. And then he's like, I may get in trouble. So he turns it in. Anyway, I say, Judge, this guy has Fifth Amendment issues. He was scrolling through it. From our records can tell he was scrolling through it just as long as my guy was, because I didn't want him to testify. And we were trying to do it. And I started doing my cross-examination. And, Judge, I think we need to, approach outside. And the judge just get more and more inflamed. And the judge was like, Mr. Reich, you're going to give me your questions of this witness so that I can screen them and make sure that there's nothing objectionable in there. And I'm like, hell I am. And remember, I'm a civilian at this point. There's some Air Force colonel on the bench, telling me he's going to do that. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not. And then he had to take a little bit of a break and realize that he couldn't do that either. And, at that point, I was the guy that got to roll into town and poke fingers in people's eyes. And we lost the case, but we beat the offer. We knew the guy was going down, but we beat the offer that they had made, like go to prison for years. He got nothing. So, I got almost held in contempt there once. Once I kept asking a guy, he was a snitch, about his criminal history and going down to all his little shoplifting, which were crimes of moral turpitude, and saying, you did this and you can't be trusted. You're convicted of this. Another crime of moral turpitude, you untrustworthy. And the judge was just like, how dare you besmirch this man's good character? I'm like, are you kidding me? The guy's got like 8 felony convictions, different cases, all terrible, bad things. And you think this is a good guy? Come on. Anyway. All right. Real quick, because I can't believe how time goes by. This is why we need more time, Frank. I don't know. I don't know if your wife would do it. I'm not sure the lovely Miss Kristen would say, yeah, you should go live every night, or you should go live till, I mean, you'd have to teach me how to do it all by myself, Frank. That's the way we'd have to do it. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's talk quickly about this Jennifer McCabe lady. Okay, let's turn our attention to the Karen Reed case. What the heck happened at 34 Fairview Road? 34 Fairview Road. That's where Officer O'Keefe allegedly gets run down by his then girlfriend, Karen Reed. Did he go into the party of the kind of after party from hanging out at the bars, where he maybe got in a fight, got beat up, maybe attacked by a dog? Or was it all, in fact, Karen Reed upset that he had maybe, there's a little rocky road in their relationship, runs him over, kills him, letting him die and freeze in the snow? But Frank, do you have that part queued up about why she's making text or searches at 2:37? Play that. Take a look at this. Apparently no sound. No. Okay, hold on. All right. Hold on. Apparently we have no sound. All right. Did we apparently had no sound? It was muted. All right. Well, let's go back. Do we got it again, Frank? We got. All right. We're gonna do it a different way. See? Yes. Okay. Just Jake. Yes, the Karen Reed case. Let's talk about it. Jen lies through her teeth, according to Mark. All right. This is from CrimeTalk, our library here, because we brought it to you live. Here we go. Okay, I think we got sound. Here we go. Buffering. Here we go. Okay, I think we got it fixed. Of course, now it wants to buffer. All right, here we go.
Does this appear to be the document that was just marked as Exhibit 99?
Yes.
I know it's a little bit small, just you see this column,
Yes.
third column from the, actually it's the fourth column from the left, some dates, some data, and then
Okay. Well, we're trying to get that to work. Sorry about that. It is crazy. So when they go out, old Jen McCabe and friends, they supposedly see Karen Reed out there. Oh my God, did I hit him? Oh my God, I hit him. Oh my Jews. And apparently she's saying, oh, at some point I was asked to, how long does it take to get hypothermia? So she Googles, how long does it take to die in the cold? And then obviously everything comes out. They find this deleted search at like 2:27 in the morning. How long does it take to die in the cold? How would you know how to Google that 3 hours, 3.5 hours before somebody actually dies? Let's try it again.
I know it's a little bit small,
Okay. Well, apparently we're having some internet speed issues here, which is normally not an issue. Normally we can just do it, no problem. But that's AJ's like, oh, that's just a coincidence, man. There's no coincidences in the law.
thereafter at 6:24, correct?
Correct.
At 6:24, you misspelled the phrase and you spelled it as follows.
How long to die in the cold? Yes, Lisa has it right. Lawyer. She should have been lawyering up. A couple of these witnesses, if they're going to be as bad as old Jen McCabe, they may want to start advising the court that they have Fifth Amendment issues and they are not going to testify, and therefore they will not be heard by the jury. That was atrocious. That was terrible. The cross-examination, brilliant.
Dates, some data, and then a Google search, correct?
Correct.
No time.
What does that Google search say?
House long to die in cold.
Now, you indicate that you did that, you made that search at 6:23 a.m., correct?
Correct.
And then you indicated that you did it again thereafter at 6:24, correct?
Correct.
At 6:24, you misspelled the phrase and you spelled it as follows. How long TI die in CIKD, correct?
Correct.
Now you claim that those two searches were at 6:23 and 6:24 a.m. respectively, correct?
Objection.
Phrase it differently.
Sure. You've indicated under direct examination that these two searches were at 6:23 and 6:24 a.m., right?
I don't know if I gave exact times, but I said it was in the morning and Karen had asked me to do it.
And exactly, you claimed that you searched it because Karen was screaming at you and yelling at you, Googled hypothermia, and you Googled how long does it take for a person to die? I'm sorry, she said something like, how long does it take for a person to die of hypothermia? You Google searched it at 6:23 and 6:24. Is that right?
Again, I'm not sure about the exact times. I just did it after Karen asked me to do it.
Would you quarrel with the idea that those were about 30 seconds apart?
Okay.
Get all the information saved on your searches, ladies and gentlemen. Look at all that.
And you're aware, Ms. McCabe, that both misspellings of that phrase result in the exact same search results, don't they?
I'm not aware of that. No.
Well, you Googled them, ma'am. You're looking on your phone and you Googled how long to die in cold and how long to die in CIKD. Both of those. You Googled them, right?
I did. Yes.
And they result in the exact same search results, don't they?
I have no idea.
So my question to you is, why the two searches?
She was standing next to me screaming, shaking my hand. My hand was cold. I was trying to Google it. Obviously, maybe whatever came up first didn't make sense because I had some misspellings. So I did it again.
So how long to die in cold
Just keep going.
results in articles concerning dying of exposure, doesn't it?
We never got the chance to read it.
Well, you're the one, when you say we, who's we?
Karen and myself.
Well, you're the one holding the phone, Ms. McCabe.
Correct.
So you're looking down at your phone and you see exactly what comes up, right?
I don't remember exactly what came up.
Well, what came up was something about dying of hypothermia, didn't it?
That's what she asked.
So why do it again? Why do it again, Ms. McCabe? You had the result. Why the second search?
I cannot answer that beyond telling you that my hands were frozen. She was shaking me and screaming at me.
And you see the time, let me scroll up, please. According to the Celebrate data,
Oop, here it comes. Here it comes.
you see this first search that says hospital to die in cold?
I do.
Oh, here we go.
What's that time?
Ooh.
You've got the, it's right over at 2:27
AM or PM?
a.m.
Ms. McCabe, you made that search at 2:27 a.m. because you knew that John O'Keefe was outside in your sister's lawn dying in the cold, didn't you?
Absolutely not. I did not make that search at that time. No.
Realized the next morning, after John was discovered, after 6 a.m.,
She's like, gotcha.
that you had an incriminating search on your phone, didn't you?
Absolutely not.
To cover your tracks, you searched it again in order to overwrite the original search at 2:27, correct?
Again, absolutely not.
But you were nervous and you screwed it up. So the first search you made at 6:23 was Hoslong to die in CIKD, wasn't it?
No.
When you see the search right there, correct?
I see the search, but I disagree with your narrative.
And what's the time frame of that search?
Was the computer made it all up?
6:23.
And you agree that that time frame is accurate, right?
Again, it's what the report says.
And that comports with your memory of that morning, about 6:23 in the morning in 51 seconds.
Correct.
There's a second search, correct?
Correct.
And this one at 6:24 says Hoslong to die in cold. 6:24:16, correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry, 18. My eyes aren't that great. And that comports with your memory as well.
I remember Googling it at the request of the defendant. Yes.
About 27 seconds apart, correct?
Yes.
But the reality is your first search didn't comport with the 2:27 a.m. search, did it? It was a different spelling, wasn't it?
I never searched a 2:27. That is not reality.
But the 6:24 search did exactly mirror the search that, according to this report, took place at 2:27, correct?
I'm sure Celebrite will be able to explain it to you. I can't.
And then of those three searches, one of them ended up deleted. Isn't that right?
I never deleted any search.
Really?
Take a look at the Celebrite report.
Oh, those pesky Celebrate downloads. Oh, those pesky.
All marks deleted. What do you see?
I see a yes.
Ooh. Ooh. That, ladies and gentlemen.
Ms. McCabe, the reason you deleted that 2:27 a.m. call is because you realized that if you were caught Googling how long it takes for a person to die in the cold 3.5 hours before John's body was found, that would incriminate you, wouldn't it?
Objection.
The objection sustained.
Oh, the objection.
Did you delete that search because you knew that you would be implicated in John O'Keefe's death if that search was found on your phone?
Objection.
Could you answer that, please?
I did not delete that search. I never made that search at 2:23. I never would have left John O'Keefe out in the cold to die because he was my friend that I loved.
But he's not your family, is he?
Family and friends.
Is he not
Objection.
Sustained.
There you
You
go.
acknowledge that you made the search at 6:23, don't you?
In the morning I did, yes.
You acknowledge that you made the search at 6:24.
Multiple times in the morning, yes.
Of the three searches that show up that were all found on your phone, the one that you disavow is the one that took place at 2:27 a.m., which would implicate you and exonerate my client, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Can I ask it differently, Mr. Jackson?
Of those three searches, there was only one marked deleted. Isn't that right?
Correct.
That
That was the one at 2:27 a.m., correct?
I wouldn't even know how to go in and delete
I
a
would.
That's not what I
search.
asked you.
Oh, no.
The one according to the Celebrite report that was deleted, the one at 2:27 a.m., correct?
Correct.
So,
You
ladies,
would agree that that's awfully convenient for you, isn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
argumentative. But that, ladies and gentlemen, you can stop it, Frank. That is about as close as you can get to what you think of as that Perry Mason moment in court. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. You've accused somebody else of being involved in the crime, and they have no way of explaining why that search at 2:27 a or was it 12:37? I'm sorry, I should have written it down. 4 hours prior to that, it just happens to get deleted. But that's a good example. That's what one of those Celebrite reports shows. It shows everything, ladies and gentlemen, everything. What you search, what Wi-Fi you were on, what did you delete, right? You think it would just be gone. It traces everything. As soon as you pick up your phone, it'll tell you if you move it to landscape mode, or, you know, it records everything. Oh, it came out of silent. Oh, you unlocked it. How you unlocked it. It tells you everything. That is one of the great Perry Mason moments. About as close you're going to get to a Perry Mason moment in court. If I was a juror, I'd be saying reasonable doubt. Okay. But let me tell you. So I was at CrimeCon, and a lot of people wanted to talk about this, particularly East Coast people. They are all about talking about this case. Okay. I don't know, it's an East Coast thing, and I get it. And it was funny because I was at my meeting Monday with the U.S. attorney, and the U.S. attorney goes, "Hey, I've been following the Karen Reed case. I'm from Massachusetts. Oh my goodness, this case was, and I came across your YouTube channel. I had no idea you had a channel, Scott. Wow, I appreciate it, you know." And but he goes, "I'm from Massachusetts. I'm just following this case. I can't get enough of it." And I'm like, "Huh." We didn't go into what it was, but people are fascinated by this in the sense that it's kind of, do you think the law enforcement could conspire to get somebody else in trouble? Oh, I don't know. You talk to people in Boston, and sometimes they say that, there's good cops and there's dirty cops. I don't know. Sue thinks she's lying through her teeth. She loved her friend John so much that she was in on the cover up. Let me know if you think that is not right. I don't know. Whether there's a true cover up or just simply the defense has created reasonable doubt, ladies and gentlemen, I think there is some doubt. The lead investigator is under investigation, although they won't say what he's under investigation for. But is the prosecution going to call their lead investigator? I don't know. Going to be interesting. I can't wait. And so we're at CrimeCon. I go to this little function. It was for people that were considered creators. I guess I'm a creator. And so we're there and we're chatting. And these two friends, they're there. And, we're following the Karen Reed case. What do you think about this case? And I tell them what I think. And we get to the Karen Reed case. And I literally... I thought these two women, they were friends that traveled here, is my understanding. They traveled together to this event. I thought they were going to go duke it out over whether Karen Reed was guilty or not guilty. And one had investigated it once. The other one was just watching the trial. It was very interesting, very interesting, very interesting. But it just shows you how people can get invested in a case. And you can see, like, say, for example, you are a family member. You would think, like, Chad Daybell's kids, my dad is innocent. My mom she was ill. This could not have happened. I don't want to believe it. So, little housey wife says, so disgusting. The justice system is incredibly corrupt. It's and then Mark says, never had to destroy a device to cover myself. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Those cell phone data doesn't forget, doesn't lie. Its memory doesn't fade. Can't be persuaded one more or the other. It is just the data. It's going to be interesting. Will Karen Reed testify? I don't know. Tomorrow, they have a full day of court. And I'm going to try to watch as much of it as I can because, hopefully they're going to be resting sometime soon. telling you, I've never seen a trial. We're going to break for 2 weeks. We're going to have trial for half a day, and then we're going to do a full day, and then we'll see what we do. We're kind of making it up. Anyway, next, true situation. Tell me what you think you would do. True deal in Minnesota. This woman is a juror on a federal case. It's called Feeding Our Future Federal Trial. Big government fraud scam, the whole PPP type of stuff. But we're not talking chump change here at all. These people are accused of swindling $250 million, one of the biggest PPP fraud cases. Anyway, the juror says that somebody showed up at her residence, and this person was dressed in black. A woman arrived at the house clutching a party bag stuffed with wads of cash, and it was nearly $120,000. Apparently, it was a present for the 23-year-old juror, and the woman explained to the juror's father-in-law, who answered the door about 9 p.m., that if the juror voted to acquit the 7 defendants in the fraud case, there would be more of that present tomorrow. The woman then handed over the bag, stuffed full of money. The juror, what did she do? She did the right thing. She went directly to the police, turned the bag of money over to the cash, who turned it over to the FBI. They're investigating the incident. Needless to say, the United States attorney is not amused, calling it outrageous behavior. And this is the kind of stuff that happens in mob movies. Now, the 7 co-defendants, they've all been remanded because they're trying to figure out who this person may be associated with and who leaked the juror information, who tried to bribe a juror. So the rest of the jurors have now been sequestered, including the alternates, and the defendants who are out of custody all had their phones confiscated by the FBI. I wonder what they'll come up with. And like I said, they'll all be detained until investigators can figure out if one of them leaked the list of jurors, hence the reason why they could find where this juror lived. So, yes, it definitely sounds something out of a mob movie, not a bunch of non-governmental organization nonprofits. Can you believe it? Crazy. But at least the juror, unidentified juror, said, I'm going to do the right thing. Would you have done the right thing? Somebody walks up to you and says, shh, shh. No, it's not it's the Sterling. It wasn't personal protective equipment. It was the all the COVID money, the PPP loans for businesses, $250 million that they allegedly falsely got, according to the government. The defense was going to call their witnesses, but they didn't do that. But $120,000. I mean, yeah, it seems like a lot of money, but is it really that much money to go to prison for? Yeah, probably not at the time, at least down the road. But I think that was interesting. What would you do? What would you do if you would just say, fine, thank you for the gift, see you tomorrow? Or would you go to the police? I'd like to think that I would go to the police because, yes, you have ethics. And that is just wrong. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show. This is our Tuesday Night Live. We're going to do our Patreon show. If you haven't become a Patreon, now would be a good time to do that if you'd like to join us. We'll also have our call-in line. And please join us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk. And yes, that Constitution, that pesky Constitution, it matters, ladies and gentlemen. It matters.